Live from the City of Angels, Sunday morning. It is midnight movie money time as the numbers are in for the weekend, and we have no surprise at the top. It is Wicked for good. Wicked 2 ends up with a $150 million debut stateside. 150 million is obviously bigger than the first. Remember, the first was 112.5, and then we add in $76 million on the overseas cash, and we end up with a total of $226 million. And you can see that this is roughly 25% higher than the last Wicked on the debut number. When you look at the admissions, were plus 2 million people saw this over the last in the opening weekend. That's just on the stateside number. And like we saw in the first, right, you see that this film is doing the majority of its cash on the domestic side. It doesn't travel as well overseas as a Broadway adaptation, but we do go into the records here this morning that have been set. This is the second highest opening weekend of the year behind Minecraft. Minecraft was way up there at $160 million plus, but still right there. And then you have the biggest opening weekend for a Broadway adaptation ahead of Wicked, the second highest opening weekend for a Universal Pictures film behind only, can you guess? Jurassic World. Now, some of you are going to say, what about Super Mario? Remember, that was that 5-day extended. This is just the 3-day debut, and Wicked now is number 2 all-time for Universal. We mentioned also, going back to Thursday night and the box office preview show, when you look at this film versus Barbie, very similar debut, similar demographics. In fact, when you break down the demographics, and I go down here, and I look at the female here, 71% of the audience was female. Over 25, 66%. So when you break this thing down, you're looking at a situation where, like Barbie, primarily female-driven in packs. I saw a lot of that up at AMC Burbank here this weekend when I checked out Rental Family. We'll discuss that film tonight. Also, break down that number. Not a great debut for Rental Family in minutes. The highest grossing location for Wicked 2, AMC Lincoln Square. Then you're followed by AMC Empire in New York City, Universal here, AMC, Orlando, Disney Springs, Burbank behind them, Century City right there after Burbank, the Grove here, AMC in Los Angeles, Salt Lake City, and then Regal Union Square. And you saw it also pop in Nashville, Knoxville, Boston, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. This is a film that didn't just play along the coast, right? We talk about that so often. Some of these films do well in the cinephilic hubs, the New York, the LA, the Chicago, but everywhere else we've got issues. Well, not here this weekend. This is a film that appeals across the board, and again, to women, as we see with that insane output of demo that is 71% on the female side. Now, I go back in and look at the countries. Again, only 76 million here versus 150. So half of what it did stateside, it does overseas. Number 1, UK, Ireland at 24.4, Australia 8.6, Germany 4.1, Korea at 3.8. And we'll see how this hangs in. As we know, next weekend we've got Zootopia 2 coming out. And then we have the Christmas corridor just around the corner. Universal bringing it out now, just like they did last year with Wicked. And then you have that long play throughout the holiday weekend. But as you started to see here, the front end of this, front loaded, because we didn't get quite as high as some of you thought. We go way over 150. We're right at 150 because a lot of people, as you know, these days it's all about FOMO. I do not want to be the last person to talk about a film. Therefore, I'm going to run out to see it. And that's what we're seeing repeatedly with these films when they enter the marketplace. Let's go look at number 2. It's Now You See Me 3 at 9.1 million, off 57%. Now you want to see that hold better, but listen, the worldwide cash on this is well over 150 million. So that is very impressive when you look at a film that is not doing the numbers stateside, but is doing better overseas. As we said, this is a big smash in China, and that speaks to how we sometimes forget that international markets are crucial, and the reason why we get many of these sequels that you're saying, why are we getting another Now You See Me? Well, that's why, because it travels overseas so well. Predator Badlands is number 3 at 6.3 million, down 51%. That film is now at $150 million plus, call it 160 on the global. Remember, $110 million budget puts us roughly at $250 million for break even. This will not come close. We're at 160. Okay, it's dying off. So this needs to make up money for Disney Plus and all of the other streams that it has after it leaves theaters, but it's not going to make money. That first weekend, I think, told a tale of a film that was going to come in and crush it, and then you see it start to die off. Again, what I just say, that you've got that initial rush of people that want to see a movie first, and then we end up with the diminishing returns weekend after weekend. And that's, I think, the most important thing that I see in the multiplex right now in the marketplace, is the inability for these films to really hold in there and do the business weekend after weekend. When you look at a film like Sinners, like Weapons, you've seen films that are able to do that, but they are few and far between nowadays. You're just not seeing these things able to have any stamina over the weekends that follow the debut frame. You look at Running Man, down 65%. That's not a surprise. We knew this film was dead after it bombed last weekend, but this is last thing that Paramount wants to see. This is going to lose them their ass, okay? This is an awful situation for them financially. And then you look at Glenn Powell, the career hit taken from this film. He has to regroup. He's got to pick better scripts. This is a bad film, okay? And Edgar Wright, I don't even know if this is actually his film. I think at times it is, other times it's not. I'd love to know the real story behind whose film is Running Man and where was someone brought in to meddle with what was finished. It's very clear when you watch this film, that is what you're getting. Let's talk about number 5, because it's a film I really like. It's a film that would have been a huge hit back in the early 2000s, but now a film like Rental Family comes in at 3.3 million, only about 1,700 per location. And this is what I talk about when I say movies are in trouble. Do not talk to me about Wicked for Good, Zootopia 2. I want you to talk about Rental Family. You don't want to. You know why you don't? Because this is where we're in trouble. These films are now viewed as, I'll just wait, they'll be on streaming soon, and I don't have to see them in a movie theater. Hey, man, that's your call. But the issue is that we've trained these audiences now to not support these films because they know they're going to get them at home soon. So Rental Family ends up with a number that is incredibly unimpressive. And not a surprise, given what we've seen in film after film that's come in. Begonia still not doing as well as some people would have thought. You look at a Christie that bombed. You look at any of these awards films / smaller indies, whatever you want to call them, right? Some are awards films, some are just smaller indies, some are just smaller non-tentpoles. They're all not working. That's the issue, okay? That's problematic. If you don't think that's problematic, then you are probably an AMC stock shill. And I don't have time for shills. We've talked about this how many times on this channel. I'm not ever going to be a shill for anything, anyone, ever, for the remainder of time. And the fact that that's your identity is one of the saddest things I could ever imagine. What is your identity? I am an AMC stock shill. How about you build an actual life? Okay, rant over. Sisu 2 is your number 6 film. This is a film that bombed. Another one. Look, what is it, about 1,000, 1,100 per location? I'll check it in a second. We'll get the top 10 up here. The first one I absolutely hated, right? For the first 10 minutes. But then after that, I'm like, I'd rather gouge my eyeballs out. I'd rather literally jump out of the plane like he does, and whatever happens, happens. I hated Sisu, one of the most overrated films of all time. Remember that? Oh, it's the biggest, grandest, craziest thing you've ever seen. And then you watch it like, what the fuck? And now I've got Sisu 2. Good riddance to Sisu. Hopefully Sisu 2 bites it at the end of this one, because if he didn't, it's dead now. Goodbye, Sisu. I don't want to watch this crap anymore where they give me the lone dude taking on the army, and look, it's another version of John Wick. Look, it's another version of Ballerina. Look, it's another version of Novocaine. Stop. Nobody, stop. Literally, Hollywood, stop making this shit. No one wants to watch it. I'm glad Sisu went and disappeared and got fucking nuked, because I'm tired of these films and I don't want to see another one ever made, ever, unless you put a cool spin on it and you make it something its own and try to make it original. As it is, these films need to die, and good riddance to you, Sisu 1 and 2 now. Weekend box office top 10, let's do it as I pop it up, and we will look at the numbers, and you can see as I push the right button, you have Wicked for Good, number 1, at $36,000 per location. Now, we talk about that all the time, right? Think about that. Per location average. Why do I mention Rental Family coming in at $1,700? Because Wicked did $36,000, right? So you're a multiple of what, 25? Something like that, 20, 25. So look at that. That's what we're talking about. The difference between a movie that is slain in Wicked and a movie that is getting pretty much smashed in Rental Family. Okay? Number 2, Now You See Me, Now You Don't, is down 57% at $36 million here stateside. We get well over 150. I got to get the number in front of me, but it's a hell of a lot more money than you would ever imagine that film to have, because of that international cash in China in particular. It's not really my best trump, China. I'm trying China. It's still not there. Damn it. I'll practice for tonight, Sunday Evening Spectacular. I promise I'll do my better job. No, I won't. I'll still screw it up. Predator Badlands, number 3. And again, that's going to lose Disney some money no matter what they tell you. Listen to the shills out there. They'll tell you whatever you want to hear. I tell you what reality is. I deal with reality. I do not deal with Fantasyland delusion. I don't have time for that, right? Just admit things. Why don't we just have a society that does that instead of saying, no, it's not really. These politicians, right? Listen, I'm not going to do this whole I don't know how politicians do what they do. Like half this time, crime's not that bad. Really? Because you're not reporting it? I mean, what are we talking about? Like, how do you even do that? How do you wake up, roll out of bed, get in front of a microphone and tell lies? I don't understand it. People are compromised. They're corrupt. They do things for cash. I am none of those things. And that's what you get here. I'm never going to be that person. It'll never happen. They could come to me and say, hey, here is $1 million. Will you say that Sisu 2 is a great film? I say, take your 100, shove it right up your ass. I have this is a garbage film. That's how I operate. Okay? Everyone else in the space, like, absolutely. Right? The Hollywood Handles of the world. Right? All those people that just send tweets 24/7, rehashing everyone else's stuff. They would take it in a second. Oh, it's the best movie. What a masterpiece. Give me $1 million. Running Man's number 4. Again, as I mentioned, down 65%. Rental Family number 5 at $1,714 per location. Bad. Sisu, even worse, at $1,170 per location. Regretting You is number 7, quietly at $47 million, plus the international. It's doing much better than it initially looked like it would do. Nuremberg, only up to $11 million. Have not seen that film. Probably will not see that film. I just have so much time that I really budget to watch as many films as possible. I've got to finish Train Dreams today, and I'm going to go try to see the new movie. I forget what it's called. It's got O'Connor in it. It's a really small film. I'm going to see it tonight before the stream, and then we'll talk about Rental Family, Train Dreams, and then whatever the hell this other one's called. I forget. It's not on our top 10 because it's so small. Black Phone 2 is number 9, and number 10 is Sarah's Oil. So your total box office here for the top 10 films this weekend is $181 million. $150 million of that comes from our number one film this weekend, which is, yes, Wicked for Good. Again, you go back and you look at that film. If you haven't seen my evaluation back on Thursday, I think that's a film that's not as good as the first. Obviously, I don't think it's a bad film. I think giving this a rotten grade is not fair. Listen, I was not, as I talked about back on Thursday, cinematically erect for this film. If you don't like that, hit the road. I don't care. It's what we do here, okay? I was cinematically half flaccid. First of all, how are you even half flaccid? Just forget that. But right, when you look at this film, it just doesn't soar as high, except for the moments, I think, with Oz a little bit. But it's just not as good as the first. That said, audiences really like it. They gave it an A cinema score. You've got the post-track coming in at a very high grade. So you've got all the elements here for this to do some business over the long haul. But again, I just really want to see how this does over the next few weekends, because we're starting to see these films really fall apart after that initial weekend. They're not holding in. I mean, the last examples I mentioned was something like a Sinners was able to hold at like -20, -15. They were so small, the holds, right? It just doesn't happen often. Look at A Greatest Showman from Christmas Corridor so many years ago. That film wouldn't even be able to hold now, because everyone would say Greatest Showman will be at home in a few weeks. That's the issue that you're fighting here when you look at trying to get audiences to come back into the multiplex and watch your product. And they're just not going to, if they know that they're going to get that product at home in the near future. By the way, new kit today. Thank you very much. Do you like this? I like the green, the yellow. It's really great. It's perfect for Wicked this morning. It is the Bristol Rovers third kit from last season. Thanks for being here on this Sunday. I am back tonight with the Sunday Eating Spectacular with that 3-film evaluation evening, in addition to breaking down Wicked a little bit more, your thoughts, some trailer watches, all that tonight. Probably a little later than usual, because I'm going to see that film, whatever it's called, with O'Connor in it. I'm going to see that at like the last second, and then I'll push me a little bit later. But either way, we'll be on live like always. We only do live. We don't do the taped. And that's just the way it is here at MMT. Thanks for being here. Enjoy your Sunday. I'm off to play volleyball. Peace out. Bye.